Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar today. Today we have Alan Wine from Innovia Consulting. He will be presenting to us today on notifications and how they can help you communicate, and a couple of housekeeping things that we have to go over. First, if you have any questions, please go ahead and get them into the questions box and we will get them called out at the end of the presentation. And then secondly, we do record this webinar and all of our webinars. So if you need to review it again or share it with another colleague, you're more than welcome to. It will be available this afternoon on our website. So now, without further ado, I will turn it over to Alan and he will begin our presentation.
Thanks, Angie. Welcome everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for this short webinar on notifications. It's not a huge topic, but what we find is in dealing with our customers, a lot of them forget to use it, and they may not think about the value behind this little feature in Nav that everybody should take a hard look at and work with. So I'm going to walk through it today. Real quick, a little bit about Innovia. We are a 35+ year company, privately held. We have about 40 employees, primarily scattered through the upper Midwest, but we have people on the East Coast, down in Texas, and a number of people scattered around the U.S. We do handle customers primarily in the U.S. and Canada, but we do have some customers in Europe also. So we kind of cover the bases, if you will. Innovia is strictly a Nav reseller and focuses on Nav. We learned a long time ago you can be excellent at a few things but not great at a whole bunch of them. So we chose Nav as our primary avenue, and we continue to expand on that. We are into the Dynamics 365 offerings that are based on the Nav code base. We've all been hearing about it. The naming is still kind of moving from Microsoft's perspective, but we are actively involved in that also. We have about 80 to 90 customers that are active customers we work with on a regular basis. So what I want to talk about today is we're going to talk about what are notifications inside Nav, what do they do, the types that we have, and how do they work. And for that, I'll actually go into Nav and actually do a demo for you. Then we'll talk about what can the users themselves do to help control them, use them in better ways, modify them slightly, and what needs a developer. So you've got a little on both sides of the table there. And then we'll just do a simple summary, wrap up, and take any of your questions. So notifications inside Nav. There are primarily two types, but what the point of notifications is in Nav, and this is for role-tailored client only. So if anybody's on here from the classic client, I apologize, you're not going to be able to take advantage of this. But the idea behind them is I want to be able to communicate to another user inside Nav. I don't want to have to go outside of it, make a phone call, send an email, write a post-it note, stick it on their desk, do all those things that we tend to do with customers, but instead be able to send them inside Nav a statement of concern, a change, something for them to check. Hey, how do I want to deal with this? And it can be user-to-user communication, and basically then give them the ability to immediately link back to what is the piece of information that they're looking at. Is it an address change that we wanted to notify somebody of? Is it a sales order change? We have more items that they've added to this, and we just kind of want to not wait for somebody to run that planning worksheet again, but let them know, hey, they just bumped this order up to 500. And so these are better ways to handle that. It does show up on the home page or your role center for those of you that use the role-tailored client. The other piece of this is in 2017 forward, Microsoft came out with a way to change and take those warning messages that would pop up and make them actually a notification in the card itself. So you don't have those additional mouse clicks. So we're going to talk about that and look at that a little bit, show how some of the filtering can be done to control it a little better and basically give you better pieces of information. So like we talked about, the types of notifications. Well, in 2017 forward, they've taken some, not all, but some of those message boxes, and they've replaced them with a part of the screen that shows the warning message or the error message. It is a cleaner way to notify people of things. Examples of this would be, I put a piece of inventory into a sales order, I don't have enough inventory on stock. We all remember prior to 17, you get that warning window that comes up and it tells you, here's your available stock, here's what I'm short, you're gonna have a problem here, and you have to click OK or cancel to move on. This allows you to actually tailor those messages so that they appear on the screen but don't actually clutter up, don't cause more mouse clicks, and for heads down keying, this is a big deal. It certainly is a nicer way of doing it, and we'll look at those in a little bit here. The other type of notification, the one that's been around since 13 and we want people to use because we don't see them using it a lot, are the notes that you can put on a document or on a piece of master data. So if you're in the item card and you've decided that this particular part that comes from a metal worker, you want us to all start watching it a little closer. You can put a note in there and notify, the receiving people or the QC manager that, hey, this is an issue. Let's try and make it happen better. It also allows you to do things with transactional documents. So the sales order, the purchase orders, GLs, any place that you can put notes in, that's where you can add these. And in that process, it creates an audit trail. So as I build these documents and as I build these notes for people, and as I send these messages, I'm able to handle and keep a running tally of what the communications have been. And so it allows us to be able to go in and say, wait a minute, Sally Joe called from the customer. She changed the sales order on this date, and we notified somebody. And then she called back and changed it again, and then she changed the delivery date, and all of that is listed in notes if you use it. It's not the transaction log, which we're all familiar with, under the change log. This is just absolutely a way of, in a free-form text, being able to track that. So without further ado, let's hop into NAV and take a look at some of this. So this is my role center. This is 2018, but not a lot of difference between 17 and 16 on this particular screen. And you'll notice over here that I have my notifications. These are things that somebody has sent me and I need to pay attention to, deal with in some way, shape, or form, take care of. Or it may just be somebody telling me this is happening. I don't necessarily need to deal with it, but it is going to deal with something. So in this case, I've got a notification here called the check for the incoming product. So I'm going to view the notification. And this one says, basically gives me the ability to look at the verbiage and see, if it's a lot of words that have been written in here, a lot of text, I'm going to see the rest of it. Maybe this streams way off the page. I can take a look at the entire note here and be able to see what they're talking about. I can also go to the page that this was generated on. So in this case, it was generated on this item card. It's for the spokes. So if I scroll down to this side, you'll notice there's several of them here. And part of this is my demo data we've been playing with, but you can see that I have notes that was sent to myself. Now I'm doing myself, so I don't have to keep switching users, but the date I sent it on, the information. In this case, this is just a note inside this audit trail that says, hey, we'll run it through the QC department. We can look for a new supplier here. Again, just a note, because there's no to and from, there's no date. This is just a portion that is in here. To do this is very simple. You simply click a note, and now you can start typing the information you want. So, we can say reviewed suppliers, working with purchasing to find best costs. Now, I can just save this, which I will do, And in this case, now I've got it. I can see this, I can view it, see the entire information out here. This is my audit trail. But maybe I actually wanted to send that information or send some information to somebody. So I could say, please get with accounting for new vendor form. Now I can pick who I want to send it to. And these are your NAV users. So this is not an email. This is a user inside NAV itself. And these are all the users that we have. I'm going to send it to myself just so that you can see what we've got going on here. But anybody that is listed in NAV as a user is available to you to send. So we'll click on that, click the notify box so that it actually will send it out. I'll hit save. And now you'll notice that it's gone from and to and the date I sent it. So if I close this, now over here on my Roll Center, you see that indeed it's popped up here. And it's an immediate information. So I can, once again, I can go view it, look at the rest of the information if I want. I can double click on it. It's going to take me back to that item card. So it's going to immediately run me back to where I needed to be. I can also just say, hey, I'm done with this. I got it. I don't need to do anything. I can remove my notification and it's gone. So that's kind of some static information, right? We're working with a product. We're trying to decide how we want to deal with it. Sales orders is another way to do this. So you can look at a sales order. You can go in and edit it. And in this case, I already have some notifications on here. But again, it's the same process. In this case, change the order date from the 12th to February 13th. And I can then, like we've done in the past, go ahead and send that. Or I could just leave it as a note in here, whichever one I want to do. When I save that, two things have happened now. You'll notice that it appeared down here. It appeared down here because I've got notes turned on for this screen, and it's, I'm sitting on that particular order. If I leave that order, it goes away. If I come back to it, they move. Let me get back to that order. Then it moves up and down and I can see those. If for those of you that may or may not know how to do this, turning these on and off is simple enough. You just go to customize this page. These are fact boxes, it's notes. You can add them to any page that is available to you along these lines. So you're able to send this information to another user, and they can reply back to you. When they open this card back up, they can say, okay, yeah, I've got this. When they come back into it, they can respond if they want, confirmed delivery. And maybe that's all they do, or maybe they send it back to you. But if they just do it here, now, again, we still have that audit trail. The value of this is for those times, especially in transactional documents, where we are not having a good way of tracking this. And, you can go up here to notes, you can go to various places, this is just attached to that document. And so, with a few seconds worth of work, I've kept an audit trail going here, and that's a value to people, especially when you get into, a little sideways with a customer where they go, hey, I changed that delivery date. Well, you can look back on this and go, well, we got an email from you on the 12th that says you didn't. Maybe you got Zetadocs working and you're saving the emails, but maybe you don't. And so this is another way to take care of that. So again, relatively simple, easy, nothing extraordinary from that standpoint, but a really nice feature that we don't see our customers using enough. And I think if people realize that they can communicate this way, it helps. The other thing I'll say about this is we all know this is happening, and it's just getting worse. We get deluged with emails in our inbox, with voicemails, with the hallway conversation. This eliminates all of that. It's targeted. If I'm in my Roll Center, I'm going to see these notifications. I'm going to know I have things up here. Again, maybe I'm done with it and I don't have to do anything, or maybe I want to go see what's going on. It's a quick snapshot for me to keep up with those things that I need to deal with. So that's the transactional, the document-oriented notifications. Been around since 13. We like to see more people using it we're not, but again, that's some of these webinars are just about helping people remember that some of these nice little features are out there. The other one that is much more recent and is just in 17 is called My Notifications. And this now gives the user a little more control over those error messages or those warning messages that people see. So these are all things that happen at the customer, at a document level, at a customer master record level, wherever, item master record, whatever has been set up. So we're going to look at just one example, and this is item availability is low. It's currently turned on. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back into my sales orders. I'm going to open this order back up, and I'm going to add to this order an item. I'm going to add another set of chairs, and I'm going to order 10. Now, I'm short inventory, and you'll notice up here, this is where it's now telling me that. It used to be in previous versions that when I was short inventory, I'd get a big box here, right? And it would give me all the information I needed, and it would be telling me, hey, you got a problem here, and you need to deal with it. I could say, okay, I don't care that I'm short inventory. I know I'm going to have it in later on. I'm good to go. But it, again, creates a mouse click, right? Well, here, this is now the notification. It's still warning you. It's still telling you there's an issue, but I don't have to deal with it if I don't need to, or I can click here and go look at the details. I can pull this information up, see what's going on, where's my shortage, what's going on. I can click into here if I want. It is just a cleaner, easier way of dealing with that. Now, I'm going to delete this line. I'm going to go back in to my notifications, and this is the user taking care of these things. I'm going to say, look, I don't want item availability warnings. Just don't want them. Don't know why I don't want them, but I don't want them. Okay, fine. We'll say okay there. Go back into that same order. Go back into the item. Put in that same item. Order 10 again. I'm good to go. No warning message up here. Now, does that make sense? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. Sometimes it does to take it off item availability, but there's other things. Maybe you, in your particular business, you go, look, I don't need warning messages every time a customer's over their credit limit. There's another process in our flow to make it. I just need to get the orders in. Okay, then you don't need those messages. You can turn them off if you want. And that allows you to just, keep a little bit cleaner screen on your hands. I'm going to delete this. The other thing I can do here, is I can set some of these filters. So if I turn this on, if the notification is set up with a filter, I can go in here, and as a user, I can establish this filter. Maybe I only want this for desks. I want this item availability for desks, or maybe I only want it for chairs. And I can say, okay there. And now you see that indeed I have a filter set up, just like report filters or list view filters or all those other filters we set. This particular notification allows you to create that filter. So now I can customize it to myself a little bit. Then if I go in there, put my item in again, we'll do it one more time. Put in my 10. If I did it correctly, I shouldn't get a, whoops. Oh, I did set it for chairs, sorry. So I get my warning. If I put in my desk, I'm not necessarily going to get a warning at this point. Let me, yes. And there we go. Even though I'm comfortable and I remember that I'm short inventory on this. So I can filter and tailor these notifications to the way I want to deal with them. Now, I said that there is, some good and some bad to this. So these are notifications that come with the system. These are the ones you have to work with as a user. However, your developers, if you have a developer or your reseller internally, can take care of these and add additional notifications to this list and focus on them, just like you would message boxes or other types of items. The beauty is, if they build one of these and set it up with a filter, users can now customize that. And these, again, if we talk about these filters, remember, it's like anything else. I can add whatever field I've got to work with, I can add to it. Maybe I've got a certain category of customers I want to see worries about if they're over their limit. Maybe I've got a certain category of items that I want to see the availability, but the rest of them I don't care about, or maybe there's 3 of them. I can add, mix, and match here. And we're all familiar with this. We work with these things day in and day out. So pretty simple, pretty clean, but a really nice feature that frankly is not getting a lot of radio play if you catch that reference. These are things that are hidden in Microsoft. They're not really hidden, but they work really well. And I think what we find is people forget that they're there, and they really don't take advantage of them as much as they should. So again, said it was going to be a relatively short one. Let's talk a little bit about this now. Transactional notifications, those are the per document or the per card level, right? I'm going to send you some information about something that happened. It can be just a note like we saw, or it can be sent to other users inside Nav. Hey, follow up with this customer, please. I'd like you to do this. And most importantly, it creates that audit trail, which I think is a big value to Nav. I think you can clean that up. And I think it's value for, especially if somebody's coming in and, they're in customer service department and they pull this customer up. Well, here's the notes, right? Here's the notifications. Here's the issues I've been having. It gives them an immediate view of what we need to do along those lines. Now, I will tell you there is one caveat to this, and I'm hoping at some point Microsoft does something else with this, but a notification can only be sent to one user right now. So it's a one-to-one relationship. You certainly could build a workflow that says when I put a note in for this customer, I'd like it to go to my customer service manager and the active sales rep. And the workflow would take care of that quote unquote notification at that point. But it is a limitation. We don't find it to be an overwhelmingly bad limitation. I think in general, people are able to work through it without a whole lot of problems. But there's, again, a few odds and ends. I hope at some point Microsoft expands that out and allows you to select more than just one user. The warning messages, as we saw, they replace those message boxes. So the boxes that came out and gave us all the information that we may or may not look at and click OK on. Now it's a cleaner message. Still there, still able to see those details, but it's done in a better way. But now you get some filtering capabilities as a user that you've not had in the past. And so it allows you to control your system a little more than what other people used to be able to do. Again, this is all 2017 forward. So, you need to be up kind of on the latest and greatest, but when you get there, and we all eventually do, this is something that's there and is available. And then, the developers certainly can add more of these in there, more to the notifications. There's a process for that, and just take advantage and build on this tool set from that perspective. So all in all, it's a simple feature in Nav. It's not extraordinary. This is not a major costing issue or anything along those lines. But these are things that are built in. The transactional have been there since the Roll-Tailor client came out in 2013, 2009. The 2017 version has this nice feature with the warning messages. I would look at those. For those of you that are definitely on Roll-Tailor client, get in, play with it. If your folks are kind of resistant to it, talk to 2 or 3 of them and go, hey, let's test this out and let's just see where our value lies. And I think what you'll find is you will gain from it in a communication standpoint as well as the other features. So hope that was informative. If you didn't know about it, great. If you did know about it, maybe we gave you 1 or 2 tips that you hadn't seen before. And with that, Angie, any questions out there from the group?
Not at this time, Alan.
Okay. Well, folks, thank you very much for joining. We appreciate it. We do very large webinars, and then sometimes we do nice 1 and 2 topic, simple ones like this, and hopefully you'll gain from them and keep coming back to the additional webinars that we do on a monthly basis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. And if you would like this recording, like I said, it will be available later this afternoon on our website. And please join us next week. We have a couple of webinars that are taking place next week. On the 17th, we have Connect Software. They are going to be presenting on in-house payroll, gives you total control. And on the 18th, we have Solo Globe, who's going to be presenting on Mind the Gap, the definition, ERP, WMS gap analysis. So if you are interested in either of those topics, please go to our website and register for those webinars. And again, thank you very much for attending. Let us know if you have any questions, if we can help you with anything, and we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Have a great day, everyone.